What if I told you Social Security can legally force you to do things that could delay, reduce, or even stop your monthly check, and most Americans don't find out until it's too late? A former insider is revealing the rules they never explain clearly, the deadlines they quietly enforce, and the mistakes that cost seniors and disabled Americans thousands every year. If you rely on SSI, SSA, or SSDI, or plan to in the future, you cannot afford to miss what's coming next, because one wrong move can change your income overnight. Stay with me till the end, because I'll also show you how to protect your benefits before these rules hit you unexpectedly. And if you want real clear updates made only for people in the United States, covering Social Security payment updates, SSI and SSDI changes, benefit cuts, and the growing pension crisis, make sure you subscribe now. This channel is for us, for our checks, and for our future. Don't miss what Social Security isn't telling you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that affects millions of Americans, yet so many people are completely caught off guard by the rules and requirements. I'm talking about Social Security, and trust me, there are aspects of this program that even people who've been paying into it for decades don't fully understand until they're actually facing these situations themselves. Now, I've spent years working with people navigating their retirement decisions, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen folks make costly mistakes simply because they didn't know what Social Security actually requires from them. We're not talking about conspiracy theories or hidden agendas here. These are legitimate program rules that exist for specific reasons, but they can have a massive impact on your financial future if you're not prepared. So let's get into what you absolutely need to know. First thing, and this catches a lot of people by surprise, Social Security will automatically enroll you in Medicare Part A when you turn 65 if you're already receiving Social Security benefits. Now you might be thinking, well, what's the problem with that? Here's where it gets tricky. If you're still working and you're covered under an employer health plan, especially if you're contributing to a health savings account, this automatic Medicare enrollment can actually create a major problem for you. Once you're enrolled in Medicare, you can no longer contribute to an HSA. Not only that, but if you were enrolled in Medicare, you actually can't contribute to an HSA for 6 months prior to that enrollment date. Yeah, you heard that right. The IRS can come back and penalize you for HSA contributions you made before you even knew you were going to be enrolled in Medicare. This is where things get really frustrating for people who are trying to do everything right. Imagine you're 64, you're still working, you're maxing out your HSA contributions because you're trying to save for healthcare costs in retirement. And then boom, you turn 65, Social Security automatically enrolls you in Medicare, and suddenly those last 6 months of HSA contributions are considered excess contributions. You'll owe taxes on them plus a penalty. The thing is, Social Security gives you the option to delay your retirement benefits, and many people do this because they want their monthly benefit to grow. But what they don't realize is that if you delay claiming your retirement benefits past 65, you need to proactively reject Medicare Part A, or you'll still get automatically enrolled. And here's the kicker. If you reject Medicare Part A, you might face late enrollment penalties when you do eventually sign up, unless you have what's called creditable coverage through your employer. It's this maze of interconnected rules that nobody explains clearly until you're already in the middle of it. The second thing that shocks people is that Social Security can and will reduce your benefits if you claim early and continue working. Let me break this down because this is where a lot of people's retirement plans go completely sideways. You can start claiming Social Security retirement benefits as early as 62, but if you do that and you're still earning income from work, Social Security has what's called an earnings test. For every $2 you earn above a certain threshold, they'll withhold $1 of your benefits. In 2024, that threshold was right around $21,000. So if you're earning $40,000 a year and you're receiving early Social Security benefits, you could see a significant portion of those benefits withheld. Now, Social Security will eventually give you credit for those withheld benefits once you reach full retirement age by recalculating your monthly payment. But in the meantime, you're not getting that money. A lot of people claim early thinking they're going to supplement their work income with Social Security, and then they're blindsided when they realize they're losing a big chunk of those benefits because they're still working. And here's what really frustrates people. This earnings test only applies to earned income. If you have investment income, rental income, pension income, none of that counts against you. It's specifically targeting people who are working jobs and earning wages or self-employment income. The year you reach full retirement age, the threshold goes up significantly, and they only count earnings before the month you reach that age. And then after you hit full retirement age, there's no earnings test at all. You can earn as much as you want. But those years between 62 and your full retirement age, if you're working, Social Security is going to reduce your benefits, and it's not optional. They're not asking if it's okay with you. They're just doing it. The third requirement that people don't see coming is that Social Security benefits are taxable income for a lot of people, and depending on what's called your combined income, you could owe federal income tax on up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. Combined income is your adjusted gross income plus any tax-exempt interest plus half of your Social Security benefits. If you're single and that combined income is over $34,000, or if you're married filing jointly and it's over $44,000, up to 85% of your benefits become taxable. And those thresholds haven't been adjusted for inflation since they were established back in the 1980s, which means more and more people are getting hit with taxes on their Social Security every single year. This is something that completely derails people's retirement budgets. They calculate how much they'll get from Social Security, they think that's their spending money, and then tax time comes around and they realize they owe taxes on a huge portion of it. And if you didn't have taxes withheld from your Social Security checks throughout the year, you could be facing a big tax bill plus potential underpayment penalties. Social Security does allow you to request voluntary withholding at rates of 7, 10, 12, or 22%, but you have to proactively set that up. They're not going to automatically withhold taxes for you like an employer does with your paycheck. A lot of people also don't realize that some states tax Social Security benefits too. Most states don't, but if you live in one that does, that's another layer of taxes on top of the federal taxes. This whole situation has people feeling like Social Security isn't the safety net they thought it would be. And while the benefits are still valuable, the tax implications mean your actual spendable income is less than the benefit amount suggests. Now here's the fourth thing, and this one affects married couples in particular. Social Security has very specific rules about spousal benefits and survivor benefits, and the choices you make about when to claim can have permanent consequences for your spouse. When you're married, your spouse can claim a benefit based on your work record, even if they never worked or didn't earn enough to qualify for their own benefit. That spousal benefit can be up to 50% of your full retirement age benefit amount. But here's where the requirement comes in. If you want your spouse to claim a spousal benefit based on your record, you have to have filed for your own benefits first. You can't just leave your benefit unclaimed while your spouse collects on your record. There's also something called file and suspend that used to exist, which allowed some strategic claiming strategies, but that was eliminated back in 2016. Now the rules are much more restrictive. And when it comes to survivor benefits, this is where your claiming decision can really impact your spouse's financial security after you're gone. When you die, your surviving spouse will receive the higher of either their own benefit or your benefit, but not both. If you claimed early and took a reduced benefit, that reduced amount becomes the survivor benefit. So if you were the higher earner and you claimed at 62 to get benefits as soon as possible, and then you pass away, your spouse is stuck with that permanently reduced benefit for the rest of their life. This is why financial planners often recommend that the higher earning spouse delay claiming as long as possible, ideally until 70, because that maximizes not just their own benefit, but also the survivor benefit. Social Security isn't going to call you up and explain all this before you make your claiming decision. They'll process whatever you request, and once you've made that choice, there's very limited ability to undo it. The fifth thing people don't realize is that Social Security has a very specific formula for calculating your benefits. And if you have years where you didn't work or earned very little, those zero or low earning years can significantly drag down your benefit amount. Social Security calculates your benefit based on your highest 35 years of earnings, not your last 35 years, not your best consecutive years, but your top 35 years of indexed earnings throughout your entire career. If you don't have 35 years of earnings, Social Security will average in zeros for those missing years, which can substantially lower your monthly benefit. This is something that really affects people who took time off from the workforce, whether it was to raise children, care for elderly parents, go back to school, or deal with health issues. Those gaps in your work history don't just mean you weren't earning during those years. They're actively reducing your Social Security benefit calculation. And once you start receiving benefits, that calculation is locked in based on your earnings history up to that point. Now, if you continue working after you start receiving benefits and you have a high earning year that would replace one of your lower earning years in that 35-year calculation, Social Security will automatically recalculate and increase your benefit, but you have to actually be working and earning enough to bump out one of those lower years. What really surprises people is how much impact this can have. Let's say someone worked full-time for 25 years with good earnings, then took 10 years off, then went back to work part-time for 5 years. Even though they worked for 30 total years, those 10 years of zeros in the middle are going to be averaged into their benefit calculation, and it could reduce their monthly benefit by hundreds of dollars compared to someone who worked consistently for 35 years at similar wage levels. Social Security isn't going to give you a pass on those years or let you exclude them from the calculation. Those 35 years are what they use, period. And if you didn't know this, you might not have made different choices about returning to work or working longer to replace some of those zero years with earning years. The bottom line with all of this is that Social Security has rules and requirements that can significantly impact your financial situation in retirement, and the program doesn't hold your hand through these decisions. They'll answer specific questions if you ask them, but they're not going to proactively tell you about potential pitfalls or optimal claiming strategies. That's not their job. Their job is to administer the program according to the rules. It's up to you to understand how these rules apply to your situation and make informed decisions. So, what should you do with all this information? First, if you're anywhere close to retirement age, request your Social Security statement and review your earnings history. Make sure all your earnings are recorded correctly because mistakes do happen, and it's much easier to correct them before you start receiving benefits. Second, if you're still working and planning to claim benefits before your full retirement age, run the numbers on how the earnings test might affect you. It might make sense to delay claiming until you're actually ready to stop working or reduce your hours significantly. Third, if you're approaching 65 and you want to keep contributing to an HSA, contact Social Security well in advance and understand your options for delaying Medicare enrollment without facing penalties later. Fourth, consider working with a financial advisor or using one of the Social Security claiming strategy calculators to understand the long-term impact of different claiming ages, especially if you're married. The difference between claiming at 62 versus waiting until 70 can be massive, both for your own benefit and for a potential survivor benefit. And fifth, plan for taxes. If you're going to have other income in retirement alongside Social Security, assume that a significant portion of your benefits will be taxable and factor that into your budget and your withholding strategy. Social Security is an incredibly valuable program that provides crucial retirement income for millions of Americans. But navigating it successfully requires understanding these requirements and rules that can catch you off guard if you're not prepared. The decisions you make about when and how to claim benefits can impact your financial security for decades, so it's worth taking the time to really understand what you're getting into. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we break down complex financial topics into practical information you can actually use.